I'd announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. It's going to be ubiquitous. You know, that insult is going to last a very long time.
He sat there at the restaurant table, napkin folded in his lap, eyes sparkling with the kind of optimism you only have when you're still young enough to believe your heroes love you back. Jim Carrey had just walked into that dimly lit place near the Warner Bros. Lot, expecting handshakes, laughter, maybe even a toast. Instead, Tommy Lee Jones stood up slow, jaw clenched, face red, and said the kind of sentence that changes a man forever. "I hate you. I really don't like you. I cannot sanction your buffoonery." Imagine being 32, fresh off Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber. You're the hottest comedian in America. You think you're finally in the big leagues. And then the man you admired since you were a kid, the Tommy Lee Jones, looks at you like you ruined his life. Carrey still remembers how the room fell pin-drop silent. The cutlery stopped. His smile died. Jones hugged him like a politician, fake and stiff, as if affection itself repulsed him. And the worst part? Jim didn't even know why. People later whispered the reason in studio corridors, not in headlines, never in interviews. Jones thought Carrey's comedy cheapened Batman Forever. He told Joel Schumacher that the film was already clownish and Jim's improv made it embarrassing. Jones wanted serious art. What he got was a box office circus, one Jim Carrey was ringmaster of, and then fate twisted the knife. Dumb and Dumber made more in one weekend than Jones's passion project Cobb did in its entire run. Jones watched Jim laugh his way to the bank while his own legacy piece sank. Envy, pure, bitter envy, devoured whatever respect remained. Crew members say Jones avoided Jim like a bad smell, wouldn't rehearse with him, asked for separate dressing rooms. That restaurant moment wasn't an argument. It was a verdict, a career sentence. Jim Carrey walked out that night with a lesson most actors learn too late. Hollywood doesn't break you gently, it humiliates you slowly. Years later, a different betrayal came, pettier but nastier. The kind that leaves a taste in your mouth years after the apology. Golden Globes. Jim steps on stage, delivers a light jab at Shia LaBeouf. Nothing vicious, nothing cruel. Just one joke about Shia quoting others after the plagiarism scandal. Dying is easy, comedy is hard. I believe it was Shia LaBeouf who said that. So young. So wise. The room laughed. Cameras flashed. It was harmless, at least to adults. But Shia didn't hit back at Jim. He went after Jim's daughter, Jane Carrey, innocent, playing music, carving her own path. Shia posted her band's video and slapped old tabloid trash over it, as if Jim's personal life was ammunition. He copy-pasted a Rupert Murdoch rant about Hugh Grant, changed the names like a lazy schoolyard bully, and hit upload. 30 minutes. That's how long the post lived before he deleted it. Long enough for screenshots. Long enough for humiliation. Hollywood forgives insults. It never forgives dragging family in. And the creepiest part? Fans noticed Shia followed only one person on Twitter at that time, Jane. As soon as he posted the video, unfollowed, quiet, surgical, like he wanted Jim to know it was personal. Carrey never responded publicly. He didn't need to. A father doesn't debate a man who attacks his daughter. He remembers, he stores it, and he never stands beside that man again. But the deepest wound Jim carries doesn't come from a colleague, not even a rival. It comes from someone he once loved, Jenny McCarthy. People romanticize that relationship. Two comedians, red carpets, smiles, magazine covers. But behind closed doors, their home wasn't laughter. It was activism meetings, autism panels, vaccine arguments, a never-ending campaign Jim never asked to lead. She used his fame. Some insiders swear by it. Slowly, one event here, a documentary there. He thought he was supporting the woman he loved. Meanwhile, Hollywood watched the shift. The rubber-faced comedian who made the world laugh was suddenly standing at protest rallies, yelling through megaphones, holding signs he didn't write. Directors backed away. Studios hesitated. Roles slipped through fingers that once held every comedy script in town. People close to Carrey say he'd come home exhausted, not from filming, but from fighting. Jenny pushed harder. Jim, families need your voice. He wanted peace. She wanted a movement. April 2010, they split, publicly friendly, privately scorched earth. The same week, she closed her autism school. Different visions with my partner. Jim was supposed to buy out her co-founder. Instead, he walked away from the project, the activism, the spotlight, and her. Love turned into a battlefield, and Jim left without souvenirs. Then came Mark Wahlberg. A single sentence. That's all it took. 2009 interview. Reporter asks about actors speaking on controversial issues. Wahlberg smirks, doesn't hesitate. Actors should shut up and just act. Everyone knew who he meant. Jim Carrey, dragged into vaccine wars he never wanted. Mark, a man once arrested for violent assaults as a teen, suddenly preaching morality as if the past vanished. Carrey stayed silent publicly, but he heard every word. Months later, Wahlberg repeated it privately. That's what stung. Not disagreement, betrayal, Hollywood politics. Protect your image by throwing someone else to the wolves. After that, Carrey's offers slowed. Wahlberg's grew. That's how Hollywood loyalty works. A handshake on camera, a knife backstage. Then there are the Kardashians. Not a fight, not a feud. Something worse, what they represent. Harper's Bazaar, Icons event. Jim arrives. Reporters swarm. Bright lights, champagne, plastic smiles. A microphone slides under his chin. What brings you here tonight? Jim exhales, eyes somewhere distant. I don't believe in icons. Cameras freeze. Public laughs nervously, but there's no punchline coming, because just a few feet away stand Kim, Kendall, the whole Fame empire. Cameras flashing like machine guns. Not for actors, not for musicians, for influencers, brand builders, people famous for being famous. And Jim Carrey, a man who bled for his craft, who painted his soul onto celluloid, watches artists fade into wallpaper while socialites reign like queens. He muttered something under his breath that night. Feels like living in the Truman Show for real. 1 year later, in Vanity Fair, he said it plainly. The Kardashian effect isn't healthy. And that was it. Door closed, curtain dropped. No interest in a Hollywood built on filters instead of talent. But the final name, the one that truly broke him, didn't hurt Jim directly. It hurt something bigger. Will Smith. Not the man he once admired. Not the fresh prince with charm and warmth. No, the Will Smith of that night. The slap heard round the world. Carrey watched live like the rest of us. Chris Rock. Smaller man, hands behind his back, taking it like a professional. Will walks up. Open palm, crack, shock, silence, then applause, a standing ovation. Jim Carrey said it best afterward, voice tired, eyes sad. I was sickened. It was the clearest indication we're not the cool club anymore. Because here's what ate him alive. A regular man would have been escorted out in handcuffs. But Hollywood? Hollywood hugged Will, handed him a trophy, took selfies backstage like it was heroism instead of assault. Jim looked at that room, a room he'd entertained for decades, and realized something had rotted. Not overnight. Slowly, quietly, one compromise at a time, until the industry he loved no longer loved truth back. His words the next morning were fire. If it were me, I'd have sued him for $200 million. That video isn't going anywhere. He wasn't defending Rock. He was condemning the machine. That night didn't put Will Smith on Jim's blacklist. Hollywood's reaction did. So now you're left with 6 names carved into one man's memory, like scars. Tommy Lee Jones. Contempt without cause. Shia LaBeouf dragged his daughter into war. Jenny McCarthy, love turned political trap. Mark Wahlberg, hypocrisy wrapped as advice. The Kardashians, fame without soul. Will Smith, the slap that shattered the illusion. Not gossip, not headlines, moments. each one a crack in the foundation, and I keep thinking of Jim at that restaurant in '94, young, hopeful, smiling, before the egos, before the backstabs, before the applause turned hollow. Hollywood didn't break him in one blow. It wore him down like ocean against rock. And now, at 63, he speaks without fear, because what else can they take from a man who's already given everything? So here's the question you're probably asking yourself. Was Jim Carrey wrong? Or was he finally the only one brave enough to say what everyone else was too afraid to admit? Think about it tonight. Let it sit with you. Because when a man who made the world laugh for 30 years says he's tired of secrets and lies, maybe it's time we started listening.